What's going on, everybody? Dwaylen here from the Speaking Boldly Sports Podcast, coming to you, goodness, with another episode of Boxing Talk. Uh, as the title shows, I do want to I'm gonna touch on Haney and Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson, and also some of the upcoming fights that are coming up this month. Some of the big fights. We have a lot of fights actually. Um, that's coming up. Always check out Box.live to see the full upcoming fights. They have a great boxing schedule that you can just easily go in there and look as well. That's what I'll be looking at. And just any other latest boxing news. Mainly just want to focus on like the Haney and Shakur, the Zuffa stuff, and not really taking the side, but decided personally I have questions, like things that like to me don't make sense per se, but I'm just gonna hop in on that. And a lot of y'all do keep up with the sport, not just weapon in the ring, but outside the ring, as far as things pertaining to boxing, not necessarily their personal lives. But with that fight, okay, first things first for me, Zuffa and supposedly Haney and Shakur Stevenson both supposed to be signing to Zuffa. And my understanding with Zuffa is their format as far as weight classes was more traditional. Like there's not going to be any of the junior weight classes, so no. When I say junior, like no, it's either you're a welterweight, you're a middleweight, heavyweight, cruiserweight, featherweight, none of the junior, no junior middleweight, no, so no 140, no 154, no 168, none of those type weight classes either. So like going from lightweight 135, and you going straight into welterweight max 147. That's the uh, fight range between there. And so my thoughts when I heard, I'm not sure if it's true, hasn't been announced, when I heard that both Haney and Shakur was fighting, and it seemed like Zuffa was pushing to have Haney fight Shakur at whatever points, that they both would be on the same platform under the same umbrella. I was like, okay, with that being said, I was like, okay, well, is Shakur going to be a lightweight or is he going to be a heavyweight? I mean, a welterweight. Now, me not knowing all the particulars of that supposed them signing both of them, 'cause I knew Haney would be fighting at welterweight because that's where he's a belt holder. That's where he's currently at. And so more so focusing on Shakur with the talks kind of going back to the Shaqy Foster and then the Ford drama that surrounded that and that whole spat with them getting in the ring. It was like, okay, even before that, now Shakur BTO, he was at 140. At one point, Shakur mentioned that he was going to drop the belt at 140, go back down to 135, and then allow uh, Keyshawn Davis to fight for that 140 belt that he had just won. Then it's like, okay, so maybe Shakur will be this before the whole. I heard about the Zuffa thing. I said, oh, maybe Shakur will be fighting. We'll just go campaign at 140, or I guess I thought he was just campaigning at 140. You a champ. There's other champions there. I know he was there. I'm not saying he was a champ, but I know he's there at that weight class. You have uh what's their name? Uh the Russell brothers, the one at 140. He's there. He's a champ. I believe Pitbull Cruz. I'm just kind of throwing out names. You have some guys there to fight where they're champions or just ranked high within that weight class. So I'm like, okay, 140 be cool. If we go back down to 135, you have more Taya, you have a dude with Mason. You got if Tank come back, that's still maybe a potential fight. Then you have who else? Oh, between 135 and 140, it's quite a few fights like for Shakur. So I was like, okay, well, he got some options depending on either weight class, or he can go fight in between both weight classes as well. And so then it said Zuffa came up. I'm like, okay, he go to Zuffa. Then it's like, okay, more recent information. I was like, okay, well, what weight he go campaign at? It's either 135 or it's 147. There is no 140. And I'm thinking with Zuffa, I'm thinking like you fighting Zuffa still make fights outside of Zuffa. If that's the ordeal, because I've heard that Zuffa currently, I know they're trying to be a league, but right now they're just another promotional company. A promotional company has their own belt and don't want to be tied to the reigning boxing bodies that currently exist: IBF, WBO, WBC, WBA. They tied to Zuffa and Ring. That's I guess what they promoted. So I was just confused with Then when I heard that supposedly both signed, and then Bill Haney was pushing for, if there's even possible, the Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Steves were trying to have them sign separate contracts, right? To, I guess, ink both of those deals. I guess I'm not sure. I guess fight Keyshawn first, then fight Shakur. But my thing was, if you're going to do that, that's a possible thing. I guess Shakur, then you would have, if you're on Zuffa, you would have to fight then at 147. Or am I mistaken about that? Because it's either you're a lightweight with Zuffa 135, there is no 140 weight class, or you're a welterweight 147. To me, it's right now it seems like it's just like from that standpoint, it's just muddy from that standpoint. And like I said, I don't know all the behind the scenes deals, but it's just like I don't think within box it shouldn't be this difficult to. It shouldn't be this difficult, one, to make a fight, and two, beyond even before that, just to determine what weight class you go campaign at. From Shakur Stevens' standpoint, because I'm like, you after you beat T.O., Shakur be doing all this talking, which he's in his right to do. He's a good fighter, but you say he was, maybe he just be just talking noise, but saying you was on Ariel Hawani show with Conor Ben and saying you would fight him at 154 because of your skills. I'm paraphrasing now. Y'all can go find the clips here verbatim what he's saying. You mentioned you fight him at 147. You mentioned you will fight Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney at 147 with rehydration clauses if you go to 147. You also mentioned, 'cause I know Ryan Garcia at one point made mention that he would agree to it, but you would fight at Ryan Garcia said he can make 144, that whole catch weight, which I understand at the time. You just fought T.O., you just got to 140. So I'm saying you may want to campaign in there, but you still hold a belt at 140, but you kind of just want to drop it, but that still hasn't occurred. So then uh, you either can be here or you can be here, 135 or 147. But it's just like a lot of things have been said, and then like nothing's really happening. And I understand, I guess the money at Sufa is good compared to, I know, with Turkey still inboxing, but how he was sending out them paydays to cats, and I know other promoters like Matchroom, PBC, Top Rank are not going to pay whatever it was that guys like Devin Haney and Shakur and other fighters like them that maybe don't sell like some of your other top fighters. Y'all not get necessarily, you'll get those same pay at other promoters where they're trying to, as a business, you want to save money, different things like that. I'm just trying to wrap my head around, just, are y'all signed to Zuffa? Are you not signed to Zuffa? So if you're not signed to Zuffa, who are you going to align yourself with? For our Shakur, it seems like the Haneys are. Like, are you aligned? Who are you aligned with from a promotional standpoint? That's my only question. Is then it's like, okay, well, if you sign with, hypothetically, PBC, I doubt you go back to Top Rank. Okay, they're going to pay whatever the structure would be of that deal. Will be the structure of that deal. It's like, who are you aligned with from that standpoint? And then it'd be like, okay, you can fight at 140. Or is there like a special way, the wording within your deal with Zuffa that still allows you to fight outside of Zuffa, as well as fighting within Zuffa? I don't know if Zuffa would allow that because they're trying to build up their roster, and they're the one paying you X amount of dollars for however many fights to then sign. So I don't know. It's just don't make sense because it's like if you sign with Zuffa, if I understand somebody, you gonna have to pick. Like, why would Zuffa push for you to fight Devin Haney if you're not going to fight at welterweight? That's the thing that's like, to me, like just confusing to me right now. It's like, but I don't know. I've read different things, different articles. I'm just like still trying to understand That right there. I guess we'll have more clarity soon enough. Because it's like there's so many fights to be made. Because like you too big for a Foster. You know, he said in that exchange in the ring, he'll come to 135. We can do that 140. It didn't matter to him. I guess they seem to all be around the same size to me. Between Foster, Haney, Shakur, Ryan Garcia, uh, Lamont Roach, like you remember, differences in reach. I get that. Maybe 2 to 3 inches. I don't know who the guy is in reach. Height may differ here and there, but as much as skillful as Shakur is, I feel like it's not like you going up and you fighting Boots or you fighting who's like uh Jamil or Jamal Charlo. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, there's actually a size difference, legitimate size difference. Like, it's just, yeah, I just want to get some clarity, get some of these fights locked in, and switch gears off Shakur. Honestly, I'm not trying to bash, it's just me trying to understand, like, what's your move? What's your next fight? Even with Devin Haney, just with him fighting Keyshawn Davis, which is a cool fight that on paper, I lean Devin based off experience. Just having more fights, been more meaningful fights versus better comp so far. That don't mean Keyshawn can't win. I probably right now say 64. It's not a 50-50 fight to me on paper. 60-40, Devin Haney. Like I said, offensively, Shekon, uh, Shekon, Shakur, Keyshawn, Shekon. No, I was playing. Uh, Davis does present offensively some issues in his mentality that he does have, like come forwardness. He's really willing to throw his hands. Great on defense. Good, good footwork defensively. Good head movement. Good counter puncher. Good power. Not saying that he got like one hit power, but like man, if you let him get off, he know how to control the pace of a fight. I think with Devin Haney experience, like his jab, his speed, his footwork, the speed of his feet, his feints, um, his ring IQ, and just seeing if Keyshawn, I think it's only something experience can really help you with, but being in those type fights that would allow you to, man, like just not getting frustrated in the fight just because the guys maybe is not there to hit, different things like that. I feel like that's something you have to actually experience. And so just seeing that, not saying that would be the determining factor, but just seeing what that fight will look like. It's a very good fight. But like I said, I lean Devin for sure. 60-40 Devin on that one. Um, and then we'll just have to see with the Shakur fight, which I always thought think even well before Shakur fought Tiafimo. I always like Devin versus Shakur would be a great fight. I feel like that fight would be back and forth where I could see Devin on the front foot a lot, being able to back up Shakur with his jab, along with Shakur then been on the front foot, been able to back up Devin Haney, where both of them would let their hands go in that fight. That fight wouldn't be a defensive fight, as like many would think there'd be some offense in that fight. I'm not saying a lot of punches will land. But a lot of punches would be thrown. I could see how many land, but I could see, I don't know. So to me, that fight is definitely 50-50 because that fight is definitely 50-50. And then I don't know who I would lean. Now I got to think about that one a little bit more. Who I would lean in that fight just to see. And then I got to see now with Foster, Shakur. I don't know if Shakur go fight him. Like I said, really determined to me that fight it comes down to where Shakur signs. To me, that's the thing that determines that. I don't think there's been no news on that at the moment. Uh, So hold on, I just signed on to my Twitter and Shakur. I'm gonna read it. I didn't. Like I said, I did this video on the whim. So Shakur Stevenson tweeted out. I'm gonna read it. You can go to his page and verify this. 144 is fair for two champions in two separate weight classes. Floyd and Canelo made one of the biggest fights ever happen at a catchweight. If y'all seriously wanted to fight, it would be easy to make. Y'all fought. I'm talking about Devin Haney fought Jose Ramirez at that weight 2 fights ago. Yeah, processing this in real time. Okay, so there's questions I have. Would the belt be on the line? Will both belts 140 and 147 be on the line, or just 147? That's or no belts at all. It's just we just fighting in a catchweight, big fight, not even worry about no belts. Okay, that's one question I have. Two, and this may be my lack of knowledge on the Zuffa joint. Are you signed to Zuffa? If that's the case, granted, I'm not saying they can't make a catchweight, but if you're going to be a 147 fighter at Zuffa, why wouldn't the fight just be at 147? But maybe that's not the case. But I understand the catchweight since you just started at 40, he's at 47. Third question would be, can Devin Haney make 144? Just asking, can he make 144? Only they know that. These things I'm just throwing out there. Two, he fought at 144. Devin Haney, he was coming from 140. He didn't jump right into 147. Devin Haney didn't. He fought at 144 one time with Ramirez. And I understand with Shakur Stevenson, it was only 2 fights ago, which that fight was, let me see, Haney, that was on that NYC card right at the square versus what? That was just late last year, like October. Uh, what day was that on? It wasn't October. I lied about that. What was it around this time in the summertime? What date? No, so it was May 2nd. So it was literally it's been over a year ago. So it was May 2nd, Friday, May 2nd. Okay. Got like October, but too close to be fighting outside. Okay, so that's what Shakur said. Shakur 144 is a fair, two champions in two separate weight classes. Y'all are a weight class apart. Understanding there's a 7 pound weight difference, and that's a big deal for boxers. I'm not going to discredit that. That's legit. Okay, so catch weight. Interesting. Okay, I just logged on to Twitter see if there was any news about them in the Zuffa. I'm just clicking on the comments. Just like 211 people have a comment on this joint. That's crazy, yo. I'm just curious. Let's see. Okay, so okay. I'm not about to. Let's see. So the first comment was somebody named J Lab. I'm not gonna go through just a few of these. I'm gonna go through. We need the shock at 135. It's not fair to make him jump up 2 weight classes. Shakur responded to this guy J Lab Sports. I never told that week so and so come to 140. He said it. He also said 135 or 140. He said he could do that either weight class. Just saying. I was actually watching that fight live at home, and I watched the whole ordeal live, and also saw it after that on YouTube multiple times. Okay, whatever. Somebody named at the biggest, I don't know what these people, Al, who's on Twitter. Only reason you keep asking for this, he already spoke on this. LOL. He screenshotted a Devin Haney tweet from January 16th, 2025. This is Devin Haney tweet. Once I go to 147, I will never go back down. That was from January 6th, 2025. Somebody said exactly Devin, the one scared to come to 144, Kerr willing to move. Why he not? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of comments on this joint. Cool. I'm not about to go through all those, but just my thoughts I've had from the jump when they've talked about when Shakur has talked about when he first initially after the TO fight and then after Devin beat Barrios and got his first championship in his career, and he was talking about fighting Ryan Garcia. And I know Ryan Garcia did mention fight he will come down and do the 144 catch weight, yada yada yada. But then and they were talking about with the belt being on the line. I'm like, well, won't the fight just be at 147? I didn't understand. I understand. That's why I'm like, because not like if Shakur was at 135 and didn't have to no fights at 140, and they were asking him to come up, I will more so understand. And I understand there's advantages you're trying to get as a fighter, like legit. Like these are legit advantages you are trying to get. So I do get that. Like, but if I'm fighting and I call out somebody, I need to fight at that weight class, or in my trip. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not right. I don't know. I don't know. I am not sure. I'm not sure. But that's just my thoughts on there. If y'all, comment, share your thoughts. Uh, I don't know. I don't know, man. Let me see. I'm just on Twitter. Sometimes I know Twitter ain't always the best place to get info. But I'm just looking, just trying to understand. Like I said, I'm not on anybody's side per se, just my thoughts. I'm like, dang, shouldn't we be fighting at that said weight class? Especially if the belt is on the line. I understand it's not this precedent has already been set in certain instances where there's been catch weight where the belt for said weight has been on the line. So I do get that. So we're gonna see. So maybe let me see. We'll go back up here real quick. Now I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on. Supposedly, so Ray Jackson on Twitter, Shakur versus Devin at 144 will be the biggest fight in all of boxing. And he had a screenshot of Shakur Stevenson responding yes to a Devin Haney tweet where this was on the 9th of when Devin Haney said, if I come to 144, dot, dot, we have a fight, question mark. And Shakur responded, yes. Cool. So there shouldn't be no rehydration clause if that's the case. If the fight's at 144, there should be no rehydration clause, in my opinion.